Okay, so continuing with the series, this will be a review of Bluefish by Negative Zero for the Deep Blue Map Contest 10 of the standard category. This one, like other maps in the standard category, standard and very standard. So there is like not much things that I can like nitpick or big balance things that I can like point out because the maps is already like very solid. But right out the gate, a couple issues. Like I will try to nitpick as much as possible regarding, for example, possible problems with the map, because it makes it easier for like other map makers to see, for example, clearly issues and problems. No, it's not nothing to do with like hating on negative zero or anything like that. So right out the gate, the mineral lines, usually players prefer them to have them be this way instead of how it was before, as you can see. And this is like very simple. Why? Because this all started with cats a couple like years ago that didn't like the workers like turning in order to mine from this mineral path. So now it is all the other players started like whining as well. So now we do this. In order to also, it will be beneficial for the map to have the standard mineral lines, at least in the main bases, which are set up this way instead. This basement gas, even when it looks like kind of inefficient, it basically isn't. And this allows players to micro in those two spots with their worker, in case, for example, of a link rush or whatever, and they need to do worker stacking. This allows for two places where it is very easy to do worker stack, and it allows the entire game to, for example, progress further. So yeah, that is right out the gate in the main base. In the natural and whatnot, there is this small space which I talk about in my other video in Artana, where units can like players can abuse that space in the natural of the other player specifically against her. For negative zero in this situation, I kind of agree that he used like not standard mineral lines, because this one uses more efficiently the space. Regarding the map itself, it is a variation of Catalyst, which already was like a very good, like solid standard map. This is a variation of it, kind of. This area might be slightly choky, at least from my particular taste. It is not awful. It is actually very good, but it might be like slightly too choky. Increase a little bit the cliffs in here might be beneficial, especially against, for example, any attack that kind of abuses this area that comes from in this case, from the bottom attack path, and get here and starts abusing like range stitch units in order to attack all over the cliff. Other than that, map is like very good. It's a standard map, solid, and it's a negative one, so it is also even more solid than that. This entire area needs to be quality assured in order to avoid any problems with the line of sight blockers. For example, if a unit, I can't start like describing the behavior of the line of sight blockers inside of in the video doing a review of Blueshift, but it needs to be like quality assured in order that not only the line of sight blockers are symmetrical, which they kind of look, but that they work well in how they are set up currently. In order, for example, if a unit enters into the line of sight blockers, it needs to be the entire wall of line of sight blockers, the ones that becomes like visible, and not, for example, a couple of years ago there were some issues in Coda where if a unit entered into the line of sight blockers, only sections of the line of sight blocker wall will become visible, because they weren't like conjoined by their own behavior to do that. Regarding the openness of it is like very solid. I think it could be like slightly increased, but that is something that at the moment is okay. It is something that will vary depending on the meta game. If I recall correctly, yeah, I also tested this area. Like, I already tested this area. It is the 4th base, and it is one of the lockdown ones. So it is not the end of the world if, like, siege tanks can, like, actually reach it. With it can, like, barely. If you, like, nugget it up, like, something slightly more. But they can do it slightly. It is not the end of the world. These small pathing issues. I don't think that even a unit can fit around there. Other than that, this it looks fine. Like, I was going to say that maybe it is not particularly instantly recognizable that overlords can be parking there, but it is okay. Like, it is, I'm nitpicking probably too hard in there. Regarding the third, it is a very well positioned third. The only issue might be the open net in there, but it's okay. 4 base in the corners. Huh. Oh, I thought there was a small problem. There were, like, some issues with the foliage. Like, foliage was being generated in the space, but I already fixed that in the quality assurance part. Mineral lines, it is fine. It is the same small little detail in that happened in the main bases. Maybe this should be like that, but it's okay. I really like the center. It is one of the things that I really like. It uses, like, it uses the same center of Frozen Temple. It is still attained all the ideas of the map in the early game, which is, like, when the path was, like, the most used. But in the late game, it opened up and it allows for the entire, like, army movement to, like, unquote, shine, which is one of the strongs of Negative Zero. He always has created some very cool army movements around the map. Selnaga positionings, I'm not sure. Like, it is well positioned regarding, for example, the third base and its use in order, for example, to defend the base. But it is, I think that the map will benefit from or not having them, or having them in a slightly different position. The way that I'm thinking it is that those Alnaga towers might be beneficial to be closer in a position where they can allow for players to take them and spot for drop, at least in this size of a map. It is kind of tricky because in order to do that, you will need to do, like, some other changes to accommodate the entire thing. But as they stand, like, they are well positioned. I don't think that they are strictly necessary, because any army that you see passing through towards your third, you will already probably have it spotted already. But because of the slightly smaller size of the map, relatively, it can be sometimes hard to spot, like, right in time as the army is moving towards your base. It is a negative zero map, and it is a very solid one, so there is, like, even not much else that I can say. Trying to find a couple issues to point out. This ramp is fine, like, it is well sized. So yeah, I think I will need to cut it short because it even has, like, a Reaper jump spot, so I can't even whine about that. It is a good solid job. Maybe something about with this corner base, adding, like, a set of 4x4 rocks in order to slow down at least a little bit any army that path from, like, the enemy third towards your fourth, or even it can be taken as a corner base from the bottom left player. So it is an excellent map. Like, I think that it might even. Oh yes, I almost forgot about this. The illumination, the light. I think it might cause some problems with, for example, a hybrid setting. graphical settings where the players go and change like the text files of the illumination in the game. I think it might cause some problems in there, so it needs to be checked for that. But regarding anything else, like look at that, like it is very good. There's an aggressive standard map which fulfills any kind of thing that I might mention. So yeah, I think that is basically it for Blueshift. One of the most solid maps in the Team Liquid map contest. And yeah, guys, see you in the next one.